tell me to lead us in.
Lead us in!
But
I'll sit back in the shadows. I'll just do my Gowron impression.
Welcome to another episode of Blam Blam Truckers, the show where we try to focus on the positive portion of geekdom.
For the Empire.
Yes, we focus on the positive geekdom for the Empire. I am Buse, your Starfleet lieutenant.
He's an amused Buse.
And over there, we have Gowron, otherwise known as Bees, leader of the Klingon Empire until Worf and Martok come along.
Worf actually puts Gowron in power. Worf has more impact on the Klingon Empire than any other single Klingon.
He put Gowron in power and took him out of power.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
He found the Emperor. He found the clone of the Emperor and installed him as Emperor. And then went back to being in the Federation. For a Klingon who's not part of the Klingon Empire, boy, he's had some impacts on the Empire.
Yep.
And he keeps winning Batleth championships. The guy should be revered by everybody in the Klingon Empire.
Mm-hmm.
And yet. All right. So, we've been doing our City of Heroes talk, and Fuse did not want me to do one more of these tonight, but I want to finish up with support. He didn't really care, honestly. He's giving me that look right now. He's like, this is just going to mess up our schedule. I'm like, then the schedule gets messed up. I want to finish this. I want to get this out there while people are thinking about how to do their builds. Support needs its own video. I probably should have done individual videos for all of them, but support has the widest range of what it can do. And there's a reason for that. Support encompasses masterminds, defenders defenders are the kings of support, masterminds are the queens of support, corruptors, and controllers. And that's not even including the multi-classes who have aspects of it in their multi-class builds, depending on how you build that out. But all four of those can do support abilities. And support in City of Heroes, as I've said on this show many times, is not just healing. Support can be buffing your team. Support can be debuffing the enemy. Support can be controlling the enemy. I don't want to use that finger. Can be controlling the enemy. I'll just keep all of them up. I'm sorry. We're going to, get not a copyright strike. We're going to get defunded if I do that finger solo.
We have to be funded. We have to be funded to be funded, and we have to be monetized to be demonetized. So
that's true. I still don't want to offend people by accident.
Yes, we don't want to offend you on purpose.
Yes, when I mean to offend you. Wow, I was making a list, but now I forgot what it was.
Did you check it twice?
No, I only checked it once. No! Why did I only check the list once? Okay, so it can be healing, it can be buffing your team, it can be debuffing the enemy, or it can be controlling the enemy. Those are the four aspects. And control for support tends to be more knockback and knock down than it does, and you'll see aspects of control in some of the tanker and melee attacks, but it's never nearly as powerful as it is with controllers and support. So, yeah. Let's start with healing. I've never seen a game, and I haven't played Dungeons & Dragons Online, but I've never seen a game with such weak healing in it as City of Heroes. It can be quite powerful, but you're not getting something like an EverQuest had complete heal. There's no complete heal in City of Heroes. WoW had ridiculous healing abilities, depending on the variation of who was the greatest healer at the time and which patch was out. You'll see it now as if you play through Classic. If you played through the Classic eras, you can see that. It starts off that the greatest healer were Paladins, and then the greatest healer come the next, patch were greatest AoE healer was Shaman for a while, and then it just changed over time. In City of Heroes,
wow.
Yeah, and WoW. It was always clerics in EverQuest.
And overall healers, yes, but the other ones were much better at specific things.
Over time.
Yes, over time.
Yeah.
Because they tried to even stuff out.
Yeah, so clerics stopped being useless for anything but healing and became useful for other things, and other people became just as good healers. That's EverQuest, different game. Uh, the greatest healing class in the game is empaths, and they only get, and I'll bring it up right now, defender powers. It's pain. Apparently, I didn't. Yeah, I picked defender. Hold on. Empathy. They get a healing aura. You get heal aura. Other. You get absorb pain, which gives up your health for their health. And you get a recovery aura, which hits people with an aura to regen over time. That's 4 healing abilities. 2 of them are very weak, healing aura and recovery aura. Don't get me wrong, healing aura is, they're, both of them are decent. They do what they're supposed to do, but none of these are, my tank's almost dead. I need him at full health now. You're not going to see that in City of Heroes. Um, that's 4 out of your 9 powers for your primary power set are heals. That's it, and that's fine. Um, it's the best power heal. It was the best healing set in the game for a long time. But heals aren't needed as much because you get buffing and debuffing. So the things you can buff in City of Heroes for yourself and your team is restricted, and it's very restricted to absolutely everything. Everything can be buffed with the right power set. You can make your guys with kinetics. You can make people regen endurance ridiculously fast. You can buff the damage they put out. It's one of the only sets that gets buffed to damage. That nature, and I'm probably forgetting something. You can buff your attack speed. You can buff your damage resistance. That's what the whole point of the bubble power set. I'll bring that up. It's not actually called bubbles. Force fields. The only thing force fields does is increase your, well, it's not the only thing, it's got a lot of control in there, but the main thing force fields does is increases your damage resist and your defense for the entire group or the people you individually cast buffs on or group buffs on. It's That's all it does. And frankly, I've been in situations where where I'm taking damage and I'd rather have the debuff, the damage, the defensive buffs from a force fields guy than I'd have from a healing guy, an empathy guy. You, it's not just about healing in City of Heroes. I can't stress that enough. And um, you don't have to pick something like empathy, which focuses heavily on healing and a little bit on other things like endurance recovery, or um, bubbles, force fields, which focuses heavily on defensive buffs and a little bit on control powers. You can, but you can also pick an all-around power like electrical. What's it called? Electrical affinity, which buffs a little bit of everything, and it's very group focused. I honestly think it's better for if you're not in a group and you're an electrical affinity support guy, you better be a mastermind or a controller because you can't cast 4 or 5 of your powers on yourself. You can only cast it on other people. So how are you going to heal yourself if your only heal works by healing other people and it chaining back to you? You can't heal yourself. You've eliminated most of your main power set. Defenders are very group focused. That's okay. You just know what you're getting into when you play it. Um, Another nature affinity is a nice all-around power set. You get a very good control aura. You get nice healing abilities. Weird, nobody else gets healing abilities quite like nature. Um, all of it is area effect. You get a very strong you get 2 good debuffs, and we haven't even talked about debuffs yet. And you get, I told you, you get a control. You get 2 debuffs. You get 2 healing spells, and you get 3 buffs that increase your damage, not damage resist, increase your regen, increase your, yeah, one of them increases your damage resist, and one of them increases the damage you do. 3 great buffs in one power set, but it's not like it's different than what you choose. It has such a wide variety of what you can buff. Now let's talk about debuffs. What can you debuff in City of Heroes? Again, absolutely everything.
Everything.
Everything. Now, can every character debuff everything? No. Poison is the premier. If you just want to specialize in debuffs, you go into poison, and it's only 3 of their 9 abilities in that power set. 3, and you will debuff endgame bosses amazingly well. You'll knock stuff down to 80% of its attack ability, both the damage it does and whether or not it can hit. You pick something like Sonic, or whatever it's called here, sound, noise, Sonic. Sonic Resonance focuses on debuffing and buffing damage resist. Sonic Resonance does more debuffs for damage resist than any other set, but it actually matches Bubbles force fields on how much damage resist it can give you. It's both buffing and debuffing. And a lot of these power sets are also going to have some kind of a control option to them. Not all of them, but most of them have a little bit of control in them to add to your survivability. Which is why when you take a controller, not only are you getting a full control power set, you're also getting a support power set. And if you pick one that's got high control to it, like what's it called, storm summoning, or is it storm summoning? Yeah, storm summoning, high amounts of control in storm summoning. You are going to be you're going to be great at keeping everybody pinned down, all the bad guys. Not too great against bosses, but you have some debuffs in both sets that are going to help you out there. That's 11 minutes and 48 seconds. And your control powers. You get all sorts of control. Debuff is a form of control. If the enemy can't hit you, it can't do damage to you. Who cares if it's running around? When it does hit you, it doesn't actually do any damage to you because it's so debuffed. You've basically declawed the werewolf that Buse is fighting over there. That's got to be your mastermind, right?
Do you see any pets?
Uh, no, I didn't know you had a dual pistols. Is this your sentinel?
This is my Sentinel.
This is your dual pistol sentinel.
This is where the name Blam Blam Truckers came from.
Why don't you tell that story?
All right, so we avoided telling this story in the past, but it wouldn't matter because those were on the classic videos, which aren't out yet. Maybe we'll never be out. Maybe we'll be out someday. Someday.
Your prince will come?
Indeed.
Will it be a clockwork prince?
Perhaps. So, anyways, I just created this character and I was having fun with it. And in City of Heroes, you have something called a catchphrase. And you can press, I think it's F3
F10.
to say your F10 to say your catchphrase.
F3 will use one of your inspirations. Don't hit it right now.
I don't have any in that slot at the moment anyway. So I was trying to think of a catchphrase that sounded vaguely like swearing, but not really. So I'm like, blam blam truckers. So I'm like, I've got 2 guns, and people usually use truckers to replace another word. So I'm like, blam blam truckers. There we go.
Let them see it on the screen.
It's kind of off in the corner. I'll move it more to the center.
No. It comes off right on top of your head there.
Oh, it does. I did not realize that.
In a speech bubble, because it's a comic book game.
Right.
Blam blam truckers.
So even before this game came out, we did the. I mean, sorry. Even before we started. Actually, no.
No, we'd already started the podcast.
We'd started the podcast, and then like a week or 2 after I created this character, because we were constantly joking around in our friend group about blam blam truckers, because
it just struck me as the funniest. Me and Crenshaw struck me as the funniest thing I'd heard in a long, long time.
Mm-hmm. And so that is the origin of blam blam truckers.
Blam blam truckers.
Is it a silly story? Yes, but it's how we got to you, and we're happy with it.
Yeah. So control. Another control secondary set for defenders is Trick Arrow. A lot of control in Trick Arrow. And some debuffing, if I remember correctly. Traps. Traps is a control, debuffing, and some damage. Yeah. And that's Traps is really a soloing power set, in my opinion. Um, it takes a lot of placement, it takes a lot of thought, timing, and it's useful enough in some boss fights when you have to think about what you're doing. But for most of the run throughs, it's just not. You're not going to be using those powers. You're just not. And when you're in a group and you're just running through an instance, you're not using those powers. When you're in a group and 90% of your task force is basically running through instances, they, they take time to set up. They take time to use. Uh, there's been a lot of changes to make them more useful, and I do see people using them more often when we get into larger group fights. So when I go out there as my tank and I get like 10 different that's not even fair. I get like 3 groups together, and at that point you probably shouldn't attack because I have way too many mobs on me, and you'll pull them off me because it's more than 16. See our tanking video or our tactics video. People come in and attack anyway, but one of the things they'll do is they'll run in, my traps guys, they'll run in and it'll drop the area healing ability so that my tanker who's not taking any damage will be healed from the damage they're not taking. Um, I really do have a rock. Kelly is an amazing tank. Low damage, very low damage, but I hit a little bit quite often. The whole design is just based on being able to get hits out over and over and over again.
If we talk about stuff like this again, we really need to get it set up so that you can more easily stream your screen, so that you can kind of show people what you're talking about.
That'd probably be a good idea. Or you and I should actually do a playthrough and set it up like we're playing Twitch or something.
Sounds good to me.
Like we've been threatening to do with a Rebellion game. Our 9 subscribers might find that interesting.
Indeed.
9 as of this broadcast. You can make it 10.
Or you could make it 8. Please don't.
Please don't make it 8. Other time we're looking, we're pushing 20. Anything else you want to say about support classes? You can just do so much.
Yeah, pretty much.
I can't.
And like you said, in this game, like to a degree, almost every class can be somewhat of a support. It just some are just built for it better than others, and well,
so
yeah, this game is just a lot of fun. It lets you kind of, unlike other MMOs, it just lets you do
what you want to do
so much, and it's easy to get into each individual class because of the whole sidekicking thing and all that. Like it lets you get an idea. So if you want to create like 20 different characters because you're trying to get used to figuring out what you want, it's easy to do. It's not like in WoW where you feel like you waste so much time in like at low levels and not really learning what your character can do, or especially
EverQuest, which was worse.
EverQuest, because especially if you're playing on progression server. Look, I played on progression server for what, 3 years? I mean, pretty much.
Yeah.
It started getting to the point where your class
longer
changed. Yeah, you're right. Your class changed what it was capable of, like every couple of expansions. Which it wasn't like learning a new class, because you went along the way. But if you stepped away for a bit, like all of a sudden it's like, oh, as a ranger, you're great DPS range, but not so great melee. Then you come back and you're like, oh, your melee DPS is like rivaling a rogue's. And you're like, oh, great, you build it, you come back, and like, oh, no, you don't. Why are you melee DPSing all the time? Stand over there. You should be doing range. You're like, what? But when I left, like,
yeah,
I know some people that happened to.
If I do EverQuest again this year, which I'm not sure I'm going to do, depends on what rules they put out for the TLP. If I do it though, I don't know what I'm going to. I'm picking one character and I'm sticking to it. And I've said this before, and this year I leveled 5 different characters to 50 in the first expansion. Now, granted, I was in the hospital for part of that time, and I had nothing to do but play EverQuest or video games, so I played a lot of EverQuest. I'm okay. by the way. Now, thank you for your concern, Blam Blam Truckers. This was back in May, June, um, right when Kunark was dropping. So I ended up playing all these different tunes and all the ones, not everything I've ever wanted to play. I've still never leveled a rogue to 50, which is max level for classic. Um, Not because I don't want to, not because I don't enjoy playing the rogue, but it's the hardest class to get groups with because they no longer are the highest damage dealing class in the game. They're now the second highest, and everybody treats them like they're lepers, which is
On
unfortunate.
you want a difficult class to play with? Try an EverQuest try an EverQuest in Classic. Wow, try a Paladin in Classic EverQuest. People did not want them for tanking. They did not heal great.
They want them in TLPs.
Not until they're high level. Don't get me wrong. I found
I
groups. I found groups, but
I group a lot more than you do, and I will take any of the four. That's right, four tanking classes. So I'll take a ranger. I'll take
mhm,
a paladin.
you will.
Oh yeah, well I'm usually the one running the group, unfortunately. Um, Anybody who can hold the aggro, and paladins can hold the aggro. Not
Mhm.
well.
Yeah,
You got to know
we
your
get
class.
we get a lot better once we start getting our stuns.
Yeah, yeah, but you got to get up there. So I'll take a paladin. Even I'll take a paladin as a healer. I've There's three types that are needed in every group. You need a tank. Well, four. You need tank. You need control. You need healing, and you need damage. Those are the four basic types for EverQuest. And if you switch healing over to support, those are the four basic types for what do you call it? City of Heroes. Um, yeah, I'm not picky when I'm playing EverQuest. I'm not that picky in a leveling group. If you can do the job, you can have the job. I'm tempted to actually just stick with a cleric or a warrior this time around if I do it, because
Fair enough.
warriors always get groups. Like I,
Yes.
as fast as I get groups as a enchanter in EverQuest, and boy, do you get groups fast as an enchanter in EverQuest for classic. Um, you get them just as fast, almost as fast as warriors, sometimes faster. You can't run a group without a tank. You
Right.
just can't. And not in EverQuest. You can in City of Heroes.
Oh yeah.
You can build your scrapper to tank, and you'll never be able to tank. You'll have a really hard time tanking the end game bosses. But for the kind of content that Buse is showing you on the screen right now, they're great. They're not as good as a tanker. They don't hold aggro as easily, but with if they take their taunt ability and they take the taunt ability from the presence power pool, they can hold aggro just as long and just as well as a tanker can.
And
It
like we
just
said,
takes more work.
survivability. I'm playing as a sentinel, which same basic survivability as a scrapper.
Little less.
You know, a little less.
Same caps, start a little lower. Not a lot lower either. We're talking like a 1% difference.
Similar to between brutes and tankers. Same cap starts
That's a 2
lower.
to 3% damage difference. Yeah. So yeah, that's support. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments down below. Buse reads all of them. I read some of them, and
I try to respond when I can as well,
yeah,
if it needs a response. You
yeah.
know,
But we love your comments. We love to talk to you guys. This entire week has been about City of Heroes, and I really don't want to put out another video to throw off our schedule any further. So I'll just walk us out while Buse continues to play and tell you that first off, if anybody over at DC or the WB knows somebody who could listen to a pitch for a DC movie, send that information my way. I'd love to pitch a DC movie, as you guys know, and maybe even meet the infamous David Zaslav. And as we learned from the Three Amigos, infamous means more than famous. Um, just giving you a little tease in there, David. I think you're a great guy. I really enjoyed your speech at was it Boston University this year? He gave a commencement speech. I really enjoyed it. Um, I didn't really enjoy the protests that were going on at the time, but that's okay. Um, it's like protest before the event, protest after the event. Stop interrupting the guy. There's people there who wanted to hear what he had to say, like me. It's a very good speech, informative, a lot of life lessons in it, which is what you want for a college. And it was interesting. I mean, he's not, it's not like you had Tom Cruise up there giving a speech, which would have probably been more exciting, but it wasn't a bad speech. I enjoyed it. I thought he was thoroughly entertaining. It's good. Yeah. If you know anybody over at DC, have them give me a call or an email or contact us through the comments or our Facebook page. And yeah, thanks for listening, Blam Blam Truckers. Happy gaming. Next week, we'll probably do less on City of Heroes, though I do want to cover some wacky builds I've done over the years. And we'll have Buse interact a little bit more. He got to pretty much sleep through this session here.
I needed it.
Yeah, good for you, buddy. That's it.
And yeah, like, share, subscribe. Get some more
said
truckers
the
in our
three
trucker.
things. We said the 3 things.
Yeah, you know what? I give up not saying it. We need people. We need our trucker empire to grow so that one day we may be able to rival as many people on a bus.
I don't think we're going to hit 1,000 next week, but boy, would I like to.
Oh, yeah.
Going up from 9. 9, 9, 9, 9. 9, 9, 9, 9. You want to say the words, or shall I say the words?
Speak the words.
All right. Keep on trucking, you blam blam truckers.